This was an incredible event.
And I highly recommend Roofer.
Welcome, everybody, to the speaker spotlight for Rise, a Roofer Roadshow. I am TJ McCormick, the host and the presenter of Rise, a Roofer Roadshow. And today I have Amanda Veinott-Praml, right? Praml?
Close enough.
All right, I got her. She's one of our main speakers for Rise this time around. If you guys were at Rise last time, you probably would have seen me doing like a one-on-one with the speaker. This time, Amanda is actually going to be taking the stage on her own in Atlantic City, and we're so glad to have you, Amanda. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background.
Sure. Hey, everybody. I'm Amanda. I am the founder and owner of Maven Roofing and Exteriors up here in New Jersey. I have been in the industry since 2020. Very short story of mine is that I pivoted into construction, much like a lot of people during COVID. I owned another business that was closed because of COVID. It never reopened. It was on the retail side of the industry. And I decided to move into construction because I really had no other choice. So I had another baby in April of 2020. So that was my second baby. And by June of 2020, I knew my business was closing and I needed to make money for my family. So I went to work for a roofing contractor here in New Jersey, got my feet wet, moved right into sales. I sold about $2.5 million in my first year, $3.5 million in my second year, and I was on track to do over $4 million in my third year. And then I decided to leave unexpectedly in January of 2023. I did a very short stint with Contractor Dynamics. Joe Hughes, hello, how are you? I love him and his team, but going back into sort of a corporate environment wasn't really for me. And I decided to start my own roofing company when I got the itch, and here I am 6 months later.
David Taggart has a word for that, for people like us that just can't work for other people. It's called unemployable.
Yes, I am so unemployable, 100%.
No, you have to work for yourself. We're like, well, I don't even know if we're called alpha. We probably are alpha, betas, and Charlies all together. But no doubt, I'm glad to have you. You're a wealth of knowledge when it comes to all things roofing. I can actually hear a pressure tank behind you going off. So,
oh, Lord.
you're out on a job site right now, right?
I am. So unfortunately, my production leader had to have surgery this week. It was sort of a last minute thing. So I'm all things to everyone this week, including, I don't know, mom, salesperson, wife, owner, production leader, plywood runner, trainer for my new salesperson. So I'm everyone. So yeah, well, you've all been there probably.
You know what? Let's talk about that just for a second. I told you I wouldn't go off the script, but I'm going to just go off the script a little bit here and talk about, like, you've opened up this new roofing business, and I've seen you've been posting a little bit about your struggles, not struggles, but the things that most business owners face in their first year. Yeah. How are you dealing with that?
Lots of coffee and sheer determination.
Yeah. I read the one post you had about sleeping on your desk and in your truck, and yeah,
I literally fell asleep at my desk for like 5 to 10 minutes with TJ across from me. TJ's my COO, and I was like, I just really need to rest my eyes for a minute. I had an absolute migraine, which I don't really get very frequently, so I knew I was sort of pushing my limits, and I closed my laptop. I pulled out my second chair right next to me and I laid down. And he's like, all right, you take as much time as you need. But yeah, so that's definitely one of the
with that in mind, like, are you able to have any time for yourself? I know being a mom, one, right? You're not ever really able to have that much free time. And then two, now being a business owner of a roofing company that's pretty seasonal job. What do you do in your spare time other than sleep?
So honestly, the last 2 or 3 weeks, ever since we knew that TJ was going to have surgery, it was all hands on deck for me, and I had to tell my family, pretend I don't exist.
Right.
So when you tell your family, pretend that you don't exist because you know every waking hour of your time is going to be consumed by your business, you don't have free time for yourself. So when I'm not burning the candle at both ends and trying to be everything to everyone, I do enjoy pretty much anything outdoors. I do just like being active outside. I'm a huge gardener, and I feel like I'm turning into an old lady who likes to go putter in her yard. But I love micro farming and gardening for vegetables and things like that. So that's a passion of mine. And then anything having to do with projects around our house. My husband and I are always tinkering and doing something because I enjoy making my house as aesthetically pleasing as I want to make other people's houses. You know, if your own house is falling apart as a roofing contractor, what does that say about you?
Yeah, it's like the I guess I would use the analogy of if you're a house cleaner and your house is dirty, what good are you, right? So,
Yeah.
but let me talk about the gardening stuff. You don't just garden, you give away a lot of that stuff, or you work in a community garden too, right?
So my garden is not a community garden in the sense that it's at my house, but
Right.
I produce so much that I donate a lot of what we produce. I'd say over 95% of what I produced this year, we donated. And it makes me happy. You know, as an entrepreneur, it's one of those things where I often wonder why I garden. And it's because I like to see things come to fruition. I like to
Yeah.
go from a blank slate of dirt and create this amazing garden that can benefit a lot of people. And to me, that's sort of how I view my business. It's sort of a direct translation. I had this blank slate of nothing that I started with when I started Maven, and I planted some seeds, and now I'm seeing the fruits of my labor.
Yeah, nice. What do you like to read, or what's a book that you could recommend to people out there that want to go into ownership?
I do read. I don't read literally anymore. I listen to podcasts, and I will put YouTube videos on and just binge watch those whenever I've got the time or if I'm doing something else. But in terms of books, I actually just downloaded one based on the recommendation of somebody when he saw my Facebook post the other day about being super busy. And
Yeah.
he recommended Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time. I actually have it up here on Amazon. I'm about to purchase the hard copy as well, but I like to read anything that has a corresponding bullet pointed list of what you're going to learn because
Sure.
I can't spend too much time reading, so I need to get to the bullet point version very quickly.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, no, same. I have a struggle with, consuming as much content as I do on a daily basis. It's hard to read a book because I'm so used to like getting it digitally. But you know what? Let's fast forward, or not fast forward. Go to talking about marketing, and you're going to be teaching a specific part of marketing at our event in Atlantic City. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I've been toying around with exactly how I'm going to present what it is, but overall, what I hope people will take away in the 30 minutes that I'm going to be spending is how to utilize your organic marketing efforts, Facebook, Nextdoor, Instagram, whatever it is, in a unique way that other people in your area are not, and have the power of those networks and those communities work for you so that when you're not able to be tagging yourself in those Facebook posts or on those Nextdoor apps, other people are. And
Social proof.
Exactly, creating social
Yeah.
proof so that ultimately other people are doing your marketing for you, even if they're not your employees. So I'll talk a lot about that and how to generate the interest on social media for your business without ever having to pay a dime.
Man, that's awesome. I'm going to get to teach a little bit about that here tomorrow in Miami. I'm down here at Elizabeth Calzadilla Business 401 event, and that's something that I get to touch on. But no, it's so true. growing yourself on social media or, organically like you do has a big return. And a lot of people, they don't really take advantage of it as much as they could, because even in sales, when you first go to sell, when I go to a roofing company back a few years back, they'd be like, well, who do you know in your phone that's right nearby? And, you start dialing for dollars. But if you're able to utilize your social media platforms or other platforms to get in front of more people, then you should be doing it.
Mhm.
So tell me, are you finding it hard to get jobs right now? It's almost winter time. You guys are still crushing it?
Things have definitely slowed down maybe in the last week, because it's the last 10 days or so. It hasn't really monsooned like it had been.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not finding it hard to get jobs. And if anything, I purposefully pushed off a lot of my sales appointments until TJ gets back, because I knew that the next couple of weeks were going to be really difficult.
Sure.
So I'm taking appointments purposefully this week. I'm not taking everything. I'm not running around ragged. I'm being purposeful with who I'm meeting with.
Yeah.
And I definitely saw the last 10 days, the leads were decreasing, but I think that's also just weather dependent. Once it starts raining, the leads always increase. Unfortunately, in New Jersey, it's been raining a lot recently.
Yeah.
Seasonally, I think that we are experiencing everything as normal. I don't think it's been any higher or lower in this October versus any of the other Octobers that I've sold in. The difference is it's my own business now versus selling for somebody else. So
Sure.
there's particularly a level of anxiety that I have when the phone doesn't ring. But
Right.
it's actually really interesting to rely on the fact that I've been through this before. Yes, I
Sure.
may not have ever had my own business in the past for a roofing company, but I've lived through 3 full winter seasons
Yeah.
as a top sales producer, and I know exactly what's going to happen.
Nice. Yeah. What are you doing to stay motivated or to keep that motivation after the summer season going into that fall season?
So the motivation is actually coming from idea generation. So I just hired a salesperson, a woman who is arguably a phenomenal saleswoman, but has no roofing industry experience. So I am motivated going into the winter to teach her everything and anything there is to know about roofing, so that when we hit the spring season in 2024, not only will I be a force to be reckoned with, but so will she.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm gonna essentially take the time that we slow down to create another Amanda. Because I know that if I can have another one of me selling, then we're quickly going to scale to the point where I don't really have to be concerned about cash flow. And that's going to be such a great feeling.
Yeah. The cash flow in the very beginning, has that been something that's been difficult for you?
I would be lying if I said no.
Right.
I'm very fortunate that because of my previous business, I was able to transfer the credit card limit that I had on my previous business's credit card account to Maven. I don't know if that's a New Jersey thing or if other people can do that, but just a little tip. If you've had another business in the past, and that business, if it's an LLC, if that business had a credit card account, you can actually transfer that credit limit over to the other company.
I'm,
So
I'm writing that down. So for
yeah.
other
So
people.
I don't know if that was a New Jersey thing or if that's a Chase thing or whatever, but when I went to Chase, and I said, well, what are my options for funding? He said, not too much immediately. It's going to take some time to get you small business association loans. And I said, well, I don't want to wait 6 to 8 weeks just to know if I qualify. What other options do I have? And he said, I see you have a credit card with your other business. Are you using that anymore? And I said, no, I actually closed that business last year, but I kept the credit card open. And he said, that's the smartest thing you ever did. I can transfer this amount of money into your new business and you don't need a loan. Like, you can just use
Yeah.
the revolving credit on your credit card. I'll get you a 12-month 0% interest option. So I've been self-funding everything.
Wow, that's great. Well, that was really a great tip that you were able to provide there, because there are people. I was interviewing Brian Arnold last night. Brian is a very big roofer in regards to HOAs and communities and things like that. And he said he needed $500,000 to get started. Not a lot of us have $500,000 to start a roofing company.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done a really great job. Don't get me wrong. And I wish I had $500,000 to put into something right now myself. But a lot of us come from having what we have and getting going forward. But good job on that. You have been somebody that's helped roofer quite a bit in the technology world of the roofing space. Do you want to talk a little bit about that or talk about any type of technology?
Yeah, sure. So Roofer 100% has positioned my company to become a contender in this space. And I say that because I chose Roofer for its ability to make my life easier. I knew when I left the other company that the fact they didn't adopt some of the technology that I wanted them to was one of the reasons that I was frustrated all the time. So when I chose to start my own company, I was looking at all the available options out there, and I caught wind that you guys were considering creating a CRM. This was back in March and April. So when I finally pulled the trigger on starting my utilization of Roofer, I did that because I knew some of the key components I needed for technology to be successful were either currently being developed, available right now, or your leadership team said this is important for us to implement within the next year. And I wanted to minimize the number of platforms I was using.
Yeah.
So honestly, I use 3 tools on a daily basis. I use Roofer, Company Cam, and QuickBooks. Those are sort of the 3 main tech tools that I use. I'll use Hover once in a while to take siding measurements, but there are ways that you can use Roofer to do siding. If anybody wants help with that, I'm happy to help. What else do I use? I'll use Google Earth sometimes.
Do you DIY that siding? Is that what you're talking about? Turning it sideways or upside down? I've heard people say that.
So I basically, I can take the eave and rake measurements and use that in conjunction with Google Earth. So if you can get good Google Earth images, you can actually get the measurements of the sidewall. And then you can just assume that most 2-floor houses are going to be 16 to 18 feet tall because the floor break is about 8 feet to 9 feet tall on each floor. So you can very easily get your sidewall measurements, and then you have your soffit measurements, your trim coil measurements that you need for siding. So if I need to give somebody a rough siding estimate, I can use Roofer in conjunction with Google Earth for that.
Nice. How are you liking the CRM? I know that you're one of our people that were part of the beta testing prior to the beta public launch. And is there anything that you could tell people out there about using that?
So the CRM, I couldn't do what I do without the CRM, honestly. Yeah. So I now have a part-time admin, an office admin, who fields all of my inbound leads, and she immediately inputs that data into the CRM. She orders the Roofer measurement report for me. So now the people are connected to the measurement report. So then when I meet with them, I immediately can create a proposal. Everything is linked together. I'm now automating a lot of the stage movements, which is good because then if somebody signs one of my proposals, it automatically moves into pre-production. So now my production team is aware that it's their turn to pick up from where, I'm leaving off. It's just making everything a lot more seamless and integrated. As much as I'm happy with the software, there are obviously things that need to be implemented still. And your team has been amazing at listening to feedback and getting some of those things done quickly.
Yeah, no doubt. I see the suggestion board every day, up to the minute, because it's not just you. Like, there are people from all over the world, really,
Yeah.
that are providing suggestions of how they would do it or how they would, need it. And our team definitely has taken notice of all of those things that people are asking for. And we always do like would you do it this way or would you do it this way? Would you call it this or
Yeah.
would you call it this? And it's nonstop going back and forth. But no, I really appreciate you doing that for us. I know you got a hard stop coming up, so tell us a piece of wisdom or some knowledge that you could drop real quick to help us stay motivated or help us keep going.
Oh, I feel like I'm at the point in the business. So we're 6 months old now. I'm coming up on my first winter, and it's one of those things where you have to be comfortable with discomfort as an entrepreneur. And it's okay to be anxious about things and to be a little concerned that maybe things won't work out as well as maybe they will, but ultimately don't stay there. Because if you stay there, it's just going to breed negativity and a whole bunch of bad things. I'm a big believer in, if you believe in yourself and you know that you can do something, it's going to happen. And also, sheer determination and grit gets you a long way in life, but also don't stay there. Meaning,
Right.
it's not a good thing to constantly grind. If you're constantly grinding, like I've been the last 2 weeks, something has to change because it's not sustainable. So if you feel burnt out and that you just have no more hustle left because you've been hustling for so long, for so hard, you have to bring people in, whether they're employees or coaches or mentors, to help you get to a place that you don't have to hustle and grind that hard.
Yeah, I totally resonate with that. Recently I got sick, and it was definitely because I didn't give up and I didn't ask for help, and but I faced it, and but really I had to take some time for myself to get better, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to do it without the people who helped me. So kudos to you for knowing that portion of it. If you guys are watching at home and you want to see Amanda talk live and teach an actual course, you can come to our website right below in the bottom of the screen there, roofr.com/rise, roofr.com/RISE. And you can get your tickets there. It's only $25. We'll see Amanda on October 27th in Atlantic City, but we're also coming to San Antonio, Texas. We're coming to Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're coming to Savannah, Georgia, all in that same time frame. So please come out and hang out with us. The seats are filling up fast. I was just telling Amanda that just a minute ago. I don't want to give my numbers away, but they're really good right now. It looks like we're going to have a great crowd of people. But yeah, no, we're looking forward to seeing you, Amanda, and thank you so much for jumping on here today. If you want to say anything before we close out?
Oh, hire a COO before you think you can afford them.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, on that note, hold on one second, okay, for me.
This was an incredible event.
And I highly recommend Roofer.